You're with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Let's Walk the Talk, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app,
DSTV channel 856,
92.7 and 106 FM.
7 minutes after 9 o'clock. Dumelang, welcome to the Thursday edition of the Clement Manyathela Show. Thank you for being with us here on 702, and thank you for just tuning in. We love being in your company. I was actually surprised this morning that there was no traffic on the roads, and Amu's telling me that that's probably because people have taken advantage of the holiday tomorrow and they've taken today's off. Some of you have called in sick, and I say sick in inverted commas. Because are you really? You just want to have a much longer weekend. But thank you for listening, wherever you're listening from, in the office, in the car, at the gym. The 702 open line starts now on 011-883-0702. The WhatsApp line is 072-702-1702. There's so much to talk about this morning. So first of all, I had Bongani this morning talk about this day that is International Day of Happiness. It's a day that was established by the United Nations General Assembly back in 2012. And the aim really is to recognize the importance of happiness and well-being in our lives, as well as to encourage kindness, appreciation, and mindfulness. And I just thought to myself, this morning was probably my happiest in recent time, because I found myself among young people, and for some reason that made me happy. So I was invited to St. Peter's College this morning to come give a talk about human rights, and that's where I went this morning. So it started in the morning, and when I arrived at the school at St. Peter's College, I was just filled with so much positivity and so much happiness. I was smiling all around as I was greeting everyone. It was so good, first of all, to be in a school environment like that. But it was also so great to engage with these young people, because that reminded me of where I come from. It took me back to when I was their age, and I was trying to figure out how is life going to turn out to be. And I gave my talk, and then there was like a conversation with a wonderful learner there by the name of Lisa, and then people were asking questions. We were engaging with each other. Some of the questions were really tough, but I loved it. I was in my happiest space. And when I heard Bongani talk about this International Day of Happiness, I thought that is what truly made me happy in recent times. Nothing compares to it in recent times. And I want to ask you the same question this morning. What was the happiest day of your life? And I know that's easy for especially parents, because they'll go on and on about, when I gave birth to my children. And I've spoken about this before, where I said, sometimes parents feel the pressure to appreciate and love parenthood, which is great. I think a lot of them do. Probably 99% of parents love parenting. But often when you ask them about the happiest day of your life, like, when I gave birth to my little bundle of joy. And maybe that is the case for you. Give me a call on 011-883-0702. The WhatsApp line is 072-702-1702. What is your happiest memory? When was the last time when you were truly, truly happy? Was it when you graduated? Was it when maybe you gave birth to your first child, or your last child, or your middle child? What was that moment for you? Especially a moment that really filled you with so much happiness, and you still reference it. Or maybe you want to reflect in recent time. What's really made you happy? You can share that with us. The WhatsApp line is 0702-1702. There's a story as well in the Soweto newspaper. It's on page 7 if you want to check it out. The headline says, Court terminates relationship between deadbeat dad and kids. So the High Court in Johannesburg has ruled in favor of a mother, who was the applicant in this case, and terminated the parental responsibilities and rights of her husband, the respondent, in respect of their 2 children. So this is a couple that was married in December back in 2009. They have 2 children. The oldest was born in 2012, the youngest in 2015. And according to the mother, as she approached the court, the parties separated in 2016 when her partner informed her he was leaving. And since then, the man has played no active role in the lives of the children. So this man basically last had contact with his own children back in 2016 during an appointment at the office of the family advocate. And that's what I never really understand about men or fathers. How are you comfortable living your life? And I'm talking here about fathers who have the opportunity to interact and be with their children, right? Of course, I'm aware that there are fathers who are simply not allowed to see their children. Some women out there are using their children as a weapon. I'm aware of that. Yeah? But I'm also aware that we do have fathers or even mothers who are enjoying life out there, and they know that they've got children. They don't care what their children are eating this morning. When they're busy having dinner tonight, are they not thinking about that? And especially if you are not blocked from participating in your children's life. So this court has heard that despite the recommendation from the family advocate for rebonding therapy, the man did not even attend any of those scheduled sessions, even after the mother arranged and negotiated a reduced rate. So the mom was actively trying to create space for this man to have a relationship with his own children. Now the court has terminated that relationship between the dad and the kids. And the question I want to ask you this morning, given the context of this article, is, should a deadbeat parent continue to have parental rights to their children? Or should their rights be terminated, like we've seen in this court? Because there are parents who have failed to maintain a personal relationship with the children. They have failed to show commitment to the children's well-being or to even provide financial or emotional support to them. So and I want to hear from some of you, if you have a deadbeat parent in your life, how do you manage that? If you, as a man or as a woman, your partner or former partner has not shown any interest in helping you raise the children, they have not shown any commitment to the children that they have brought to this earth, what do you how are you managing that, number one? And what do you think of this judgment where the court intervenes and terminates that relationship? And by the way, the court also heard from the children of this man, and the children were very clear. They said, we don't really care. We don't want any relationship with this man, because they have also been disappointed too many times. There have been promises that this man has made. He has never showed up. So the children don't want a relationship with him either. And this man has himself to blame. When I saw it, I thought, oh, that's quite harsh coming from court. But when you actually read the context of the story and how this woman went at great lengths to create space for this man to be involved in the children's life, and he simply didn't care, then I think you sort of understand. Share your thoughts with us on 011-883-0702. Your WhatsApp is on 072-7021-702.
Clement Manyathela, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856
92.7
and 106 FM.
Hi, Clement.
My moment where I was so happy, it was when I was receiving the award for the Employee of the Year. It was in 2009 in Bulugwan. I received the award of the Employee of the Year. I was so happy. I even cried that day. Thank you, Thomas here.
Morning, Clement and the team. The happiest moment of my life was when I took the decision of going back to school at age of 25 and matriculated. I am now doing my final year with UNISA, only left with one module, doing bachelor's in criminology. And yes, I can say this is also the happiest moment of my life, and it was the best decision I've ever made. Thank you, Sam in Alberton.
Morning, Clement. Hope you're well, man. Clement, I am so happy for this lady for having gotten the right to take care of her kids, and the fact that this man got to a point where those rights were taken away from him. I really, really support the justice system, and we as men, we need to do better. We need to do better and get to a point where we need to understand with some of these things are really not right, and we need to just behave as men and do things that men are supposed to do. And some of those things are to look after our kids, and whether we are together as partners or not, and just be there for them. This man, this situation serves him right, and I hope a whole lot of us are going to learn out of this situation.
Yeah, I hope so too. There are so many men who have just simply not cared. They've just simply, basically, and let's be raw about it. They've just donated their sperm. That's what they've done. They've never shown any responsibility or care. You have brought children into this world. Are you comfortable this morning knowing that you have a child out there and you don't know how they slept last night? You don't know what they ate. You don't know how they're able to go to school this morning. And again, let's make a distinction here. I'm talking about parents who have never been blocked from seeing their kids. Are you comfortable with that? Your kids are out there. And you don't know how they're doing. That's why courts intervene like this. The roller coaster emotionally that children have to go through. Yo, Roy, you calling us from the Eastern Cape. What are your thoughts? Good morning.
Good morning, Clement. How are you doing?
Sharp, man. Go ahead.
Good, man. Greetings to all the listeners as well. You know, what I'm about to say now may seem controversial, but I mean, that's why we have radio server. That's why we have 702, for matters of controversy. The thing is, I hear this thing about fathers and so on, and not, but like about this mother. Basically, I will just say the word divorcing the father from the child's life and things like that. Firstly, I don't think she has the right to make that call. Secondly, the way it is dramatic, the way it is, these laws and regulations that we have are used against fathers is amazing. And why? I can say it with evidence because I lecture in private investigation. I lecture in corporate investigations. I've been doing this for 37 years. And in 37 years of my life, I'll tell you something, I've heard so much bad about fathers, but I haven't heard of a father throw a child in a dustbin. You know how many incidents I've come across? My stomach is really aching now. About mothers that have thrown children, their newborns, in beds. And Clement, we're almost the same age. When last did you hear of a father do that? Right? That's the thing. I'm going to say just straight up. All the kids are at school. This is an adult station. And there's nothing a man can do if you find your wife with a fresh condom in her handbag. If you question her, it's meant, and she doesn't want to answer, you can get charged for mental whatever, abuse. If you use vulgarity on her in a question, she can have you locked up for that. If you get angry with her, she can charge you again for mental abuse. So what recourse has a father got? Zero. Because I just asked a very important question. What can you do if you found you went for a Panado into your wife's bag where she asked you to reach for one and you pull out a freshly messed condom? What can you do? Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
So, there's a lot you can do, Roy. First of all, is that your experience or is that hypothetical?
No. It's the truth. It's the truth.
I know, but I'm asking,
law.
is it your truth or are you using that as a hypothetical example or is it?
No. These are real life cases I came across during the course of my life.
All right. So here's what you could do. So you can walk away, Roy. If you are with someone.
Exactly. That's all you can do.
Yeah. Wait.
Right.
Hold on 1 second. Walking away doesn't mean you walk away from your children. When you have been betrayed by your wife and you somehow believe that you have satisfied yourself that there's evidence that she's cheating on you, you can walk away. But it's actually walking away from your own children. That's not a sign of bravery. It is not.
So what you're saying is, if your wife came home with a love bite, you cannot even ask her. You just
can, but which law says you can't ask?
You can't.
Which law says that?
You can. And if she doesn't answer you, what happens then?
You can leave, Roy. When you are not happy and you don't think your partner respects you enough to take your questions, leave.
Yes, I agree with you. Yes, the right thing to do is to leave. I agree with you 100%, Clem. I'm saying, but is the person even allowed to vent anything? If you ask the same question the second time and she refuses to answer, that's considered mental abuse. You see, because, and I'll tell you
where, under what law?
No, well, you say me under what law?
Yeah, so if I'm asking my partner, you are home, why do you have a love bite? And I ask it again tomorrow. I ask it again next week. Which part of the law somehow says that is not allowed and that woman can then, open a case based on what?
Yes, because it depends in the tone in which you ask that question. I mean, you're not going to sit passively. We're not saying you're going to get violent, but you're not going to sit like you're sitting in an ashram, and ask this question. Okay. So if you raise your voice or in that moment of anger use a vulgar term, that's it. You're done on that. You're finished. You can get locked up for using that vulgar language on her. You understand me? Now you'll say me, yes, it's not right to use that vulgar language. Yes, but can we control our anger 100%? 99% maybe, but 99% is not good enough. I understand what you're saying. But we leave this open for comment. I agree with what you say, but remember something. I've come across a number of cases where mothers have deliberately locked up fathers, left the children at home, went out jolling, and they had them locked up just because they needed to go out that weekend.
Yeah, and that is absolutely wrong. Roy, and they must be held accountable. But it's not all mothers also who do that. That's why earlier on I said there are cases where it could be mothers who have actually abandoned their own children. To circle it back to what we're discussing this morning, there maybe are mothers out there that have simply not shown any care whatsoever. What are my children eating? They're living fancy lives or comfortable lives wherever, or maybe not comfortable. Maybe they're struggling themselves. But do you ever ask yourself, what is happening to my child right now as you make it day by day? How are they making it? This court has terminated the relationship between a deadbeat dad and the kids. And I say kudos. Because when you read the story, you understand that this man has never really cared. Lebo, you're in Pretoria. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, morning, Clement. My wife and I were in almost the same situation as that father that we had a deadbeat father. So my sister-in-law passed away when the two kids one was 2.5 and the other one was 5. It's years later now. The oldest one is 16. And we had to deal, the father's been absent all along of the 16-year-old now. And we took them in and they are our children. And we did we invited the court and said, look, if we are living with these children, we must have something on paper. And unfortunately, that ended up working against us because at some point, the biological father came and wanted to claim rights to this child. And that was it really, we had to go through the court process of terminating his rights. He was already not doing anything. Yeah. He's not contributed a cent in the 10 years. He's not his family did not even know the child. So, but now he shows up in court, wants to claim his rights. And what the court did is that they suspended his rights, the primary care, but they kept the contact rights. So, and they said, okay, the child can go to him when they want to, which we don't have a problem essentially with.
Yeah.
But the point is that this is a deadbeat father. How are we expected to co-parent with this person and say to him, we want to make a passport for the child, give us your permission, we want to go out of the country with the child, give us your consent, when you are not even doing anything? The child had to miss a tour in December Europe tour in December because of this whole court process. So you can imagine what that does to us.
He doesn't deserve those rights, Lebo. He really doesn't.
At all. So, but even now, they last had contact probably in December, and it's quiet, no care about, never mind money. How are you doing in school? What is happening? Let's visit each other. He stays about probably 10 kilometers from us, but that does not even happen. So I really am happy for this parent who had the rights terminated, because she was going to face the same issue. She wants to live with the children. Now the father must write the affidavit, cannot get hold of the father. So you terminate to get that child out of parent out of your life.
Yeah, got it, Lebo. Thank you so much for that. Moeletsi, you are in Benoni. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement. How are you?
Sure. Go ahead.
So, Clement, I'm worried here. Remember, they are still young, these kids. And now, as time goes on, they would want to get married, maybe. There would be circumstances that may force them to consult maybe traditional healers or something of that sort. And now what will happen, Clement, is one day we ask, at times you are being asked to look for your father's grave. What are they going to do under the circumstances?
Well, they can contact the dad. The court.
But then it's terminated.
No, Moeletsi, there's a difference. There's a difference here. Remember that court that the listener who just called us now says, the complication with having a deadbeat dad or deadbeat mother is that children's lives end up being affected. Now there's a child who's supposed to go to Europe on tour. She can't do it because the people who are guardians to this child have to consult with a dad who is not interested in the children's lives. That makes it a long process that is unnecessarily where children now can't participate in certain things. So it works to terminate those rights so that the guardians take full responsibility. They don't need to constantly come check in with a dad who's not interested to be involved. When the children are adults and they think, I want my dad, they are old enough to make their decisions. Nothing stops them from picking up a call and saying, Dad, I know you've never been there, but I need you now. Because this court ruling doesn't ban the relationship between the dad and no, it just says we're terminating the rights because there's so many things that are consequences when a father or a mother enjoys a right and yet they don't play a part. Children's lives end up being affected.
And then if this father says, you guys said you wanted nothing to do with me, what happens?
That's
will there
fine.
be any court decision? Will there be another court decision? And supposing this man now has turned out to be a Christian and has turned out traditional healer or what?
That's fine, Moeletsi. You can't force a father to come and do umsebenzi for you. You can't. If you're an adult and you say to your father, I need you now, and they say, yeah, but you guys terminated my rights back then, well, actually, that's wild because there's a reason why your rights were terminated. You were not there in our lives.
Yeah, we have here. To me, the decision here court is really high sharp. Maybe the court should have conferred those rights or responsibilities to any other person than to say, no, terminate. Totally terminate. Yeah, one.
That's conferring. That's it. When you terminate, you take those rights to the guardian.
They should have conferred, other than saying and even letting the kids say no. They should have dealt with this matter in another way. Not to say, hey, we terminate the relationship. Yeah, one.
Okay.
They should have actually said, instead of the father, no, because he's not working with.
Yeah, all right. Well, let's see. I got you. I'm late for news now. Let's hear what the other listeners think. It's 9:33.
Your station.
Your open line
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela.
on 702.
It's 22 minutes before 10 o'clock. This is the 702 open line. We're taking your calls on 011-883-0702. Christas and Benny, I'm going to start with you in a moment. We're also taking your WhatsApps on 072-702-1702. I'm asking you about this court judgment, the High Court in Johannesburg ruling in favor of a mother and terminated the parental responsibilities and rights of her husband in respect of their in respect of their two children, because the man was a deadbeat dad. There's so many times when women and sometimes men have had to tolerate parents who come back into the lives of children because it just works for them. They've never cared for so long what the children are eating, who's paying for their school, where are they sleeping. And when it works for them, they want to come in and play a meaningful role in the upbringing of the children. How do you deal with deadbeat dads or deadbeat mothers? There's a court case now that says terminate the rights of that man. Terminate the relationship between the man and the dad. And that makes it much easier for the guardians or for the mother or the father who's raising the kids to actually do so in peace without the constant consultation with the father, because some of our laws require that. You want to apply for a passport. You want to travel with the kids. There's so much you need to get permission from a man who's never shown interest in the kids. What do? And again, we're not talking here about fathers who have been refused access to their children. We're having a completely separate conversation here. Fathers have never been blocked. They've just deposited their sperm and they're gone. They don't care about what the kids are eating. I say kudos. It's about time that the court intervenes in this manner. We're also asking you about what was the last time you were so happy. Today is International Day of Happiness, and I've been asking you about recently or maybe a while back, what was that moment when you were the happiest? I told you this morning I was at St. Peter's College, and it was really a lovely, happy moment for me, engaging with the learners there about human rights and taking questions from them. It was beautiful to be in the school grounds. It was also made me happy to see how self-sufficient the learners are. They're involved in the music. They do the sound. It's just incredible. Like, they are literally in charge of operations in and around the school. And that was just fascinating for me. What is it for you? That happiest moment that you reference and you think, that was the moment I was so happy.
Hi, Clement. You always ask interesting questions, man. Prince from Pretoria. My happiest moments are two. They always dance out. The first is 6 February 2016. It was my first flight. And my first flight was international. I was going to Dubai, going to connect to India. It was 10 of us. We were interns. So we just were taken to India by this Indian company for a training in India. Man, we had the time of our lives. But
amazing.
That flight was really instrumental for me because I've always wanted to take a flight. I do love aviation, and the fact that my first flight was international, I was excited, calling everyone I know that, listen, I'm in Emirates. I'm about to fly Emirates all the way to Dubai. And of course, the second one, man, is when I got married on 7th of May, 2022, man. Best moments of my life. Thank you.
Love it.
Hi, Clement. There are too many moments, but the one I can remember right now, it's when Argentina were taking the World Cup, especially Messi. I was so happy for him that at least that's the one last thing I think he was short of. Yeah. So I was so happy. Typo from Leondale. Shop.
Hi. The last time I was happy was in 2011 when I got my my matric at the age of 30. I got 2 distinctions in accounting and economics. And also the last time I got so extremely happy was last year on the 9th of December 2024 when I received my UNISA academic results that I have successfully completed my Bachelor of Education degree, Stuart Gaunakala, in Postmansberg.
Ah, that's amazing. That's amazing. Benny, you're calling us from Randfontein. Good morning.
Clement, how are you this morning?
I'm all right, man. What was your head?
I've got 2 issues. The one that the happiest, and then the one that is, so disgusting.
Yeah.
As why would we want to divorce our kids when we no longer in good terms with their mother and stuff like that? They want us to be born. We brought them into this world, and why do we have to, subject our kids to this kind of behavior? Even animals don't do that. They don't divorce their what you call their kids. Why are we? What type of men are we raising into young boys and even young girls? What type of the behavior we are instilling? That it's so disgusting. Clement, I know of some men, and this guy met this woman. He has only 1 kid in the world, on earth, and he went to marry close to a woman with 4 kids. But he neglected the only seat on earth, and it's still even continuing today. And the child is almost close to 40, and she is angry at the father. She's angry at men. She's not even dating and stuff like this. So this is the type of the behavior that we as men, breed. We breed in our kids, and it's so sad, and I'm ashamed to be associated with such kind of men. And once I realize that you are in my circle and you're not taking responsibility of your own kids, you are gone with me. You get what I'm saying? I am a divorcee right now. But there is nothing that I will not do for my kids. I step up as and when it requires. I don't need a court of law to force me to take my responsibility, because these kids are growing. They see what is happening, and we will be we will be raising the very same type of generation. We have to start taking responsibility as men. It can't be that when I'm divorced from the mother of my kids, 2 kids, then I don't step up as the kids. The only thing that I appreciate is that when there is something that concerns their schools, their activities and stuff like that, all of us, we know what we do with our differences and stuff like that. For the sake of that, we don't have to give the kids what some of our parents did. I did not know my father until I was 38, and I took that decision that I'm not going to subject my kids to the same treatment regardless of what happened. Yeah, and I'm glad that you've also taken some lessons from what you've experienced, Benny, and that encouraged you to give your own children a different experience. Thank you for your thoughts, Benny. Kustas, what do you think? Hi.
Yeah, morning, Clement. Yeah, it's true. I must agree with the caller before to say you're bringing up interesting topics. Yeah, Clement, I am of the view that it's high time that the courts release more of these decisions, because I'm of the view that most men probably didn't want these children to start with. And decide that people are not honest in their relationship way before the child is present. Because I would say this, if you wanted a child, I don't think along the way you will turn and say you don't want them. You probably know that, because once you say you want a child, that's a lifelong commitment that way. So I don't think most men really wanted these children to begin with. So, however, we must then say, Clement, what would be the solution then to reduce fatherlessness? I think that because the law allows women to abort at any time, it must also give men the same rights to say that if he doesn't want to have the child, there must be a legal way for him to do so, so that it prevents fatherlessness. But at the same time, from a female point of view, if you want to have the child, you have to look at your circumstances and absolutely look at this man that you love and say, what happens when he's not here? If you cannot raise that child without him, then you're not ready for the child.
Yeah.
So don't have the child with him. No matter how much you can love him, he can tell you, no, I want the child. But if he does not want the child, that's a red flag. Close up. Lock every door that you can.
Not a close up. Oh, Christus.
So when Clement, that is my thought, is that there must be a legal way where a man can say, I do not want this child.
Yeah.
Because the woman has a legal way where she says, I don't want this child, and she can go and abort without or with the permission of the man. So in that way, it reduces the fatherlessness of men running away from their responsibility. I don't think a man who wanted the child from the beginning would later change his mind and run away. I don't think, unless he's sick, of course.
Yeah.
But most men are not sick. But they never wanted these children to begin with. But I want to say, before I let you go, I want to finish with men who raise children on their own. And I just want to say, thank God. If they've tried to make this to work with the father, it doesn't work, let them leave it there. Let them have peace with it.
Yeah.
And just continue. But all for men, on the other hand, if you never wanted the child, you should have said it from the beginning, so that the woman doesn't be to thinking that she's going to raise the child with you.
Yeah, true.
So that she knows that you're not going to be there.
Christus couldn't have said it better. What Christus says there, and he's stressing that message. Hashtag, what? Close up and lock everything. It's 10 minutes before 10.
Your voice,
Your station.
your open line
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela.
on 702.
8 minutes before 10 o'clock.
Good morning, Clement and the team. You know, with this topic of deadbeat dads, you know, I'm fortunate enough that the father of my child is not a deadbeat. He's very present. However, the only concern I have is that he doesn't want us to spend time with the child as mom and dad, as parents, you know, just so the child can see that, you know, she has healthy parents. And I don't know if it's a pride thing or an ego thing, but, you know, he makes it difficult to create that atmosphere. But my mom always tells me that, you know what, don't stress. These children will eventually see for themselves and they'll be able to make their own choices. So at the end of the day, it's their loss, not the kids.
Yeah, look, I think that's a little complex. I think that's a little complex because... and I want to give you an example. So there are women out there, right, who have been abused by their partners. Right? They were betrayed and abused, some physically. They were assaulted. They've decided to leave. Now, imagine that man that perpetrated that violence on that woman. And the woman plays their role, right, in caring for the kids. And the man says, I still want to be with you. I still want the kids to see us together as a happy couple or as mom and dad. That traumatizes that woman, doesn't it? It does. The woman has every right to say, I want nothing to do with you. I only want to connect with you in as far as it pertains to our kids. Just care for your kids, come pick them up, spend weekends with them, take them to school, do whatever you can. But I don't want to be in the same space. And I don't know what your circumstance is with your husband, but I don't think other partners should be forced to be in kids must see us together. I think when there's a separation that's happened, we need to be honest enough with the kids. And I'm not saying tell the kids all of the details of how this man used to do this to me, this woman used to do this to me. Explain to the kids that mommy and daddy are no longer together, but mommy and daddy love you. They love you so much that they're willing to put their differences aside to care for you individually, because we end up creating the wrong perceptions towards the kids. We're kids. I mean, there are some parents who haven't told their children that they're divorced. They've come up with a story because when the kids then see them together at the park, or we go in a restaurant or dinner tonight together, the kids think that the parents are trying to salvage a relationship. So I do think that it depends on scenarios, but I absolutely don't think that another parent, whether it's a mom or dad, must be forced to come and be family so that the kids see us as mom and dad. we must be honest to our children. Mommy and daddy are no longer together. Daddy has somebody else. Mommy is going to meet somebody else or has somebody else. But make no mistake, daddy loves you, mommy loves you, and we're going to do everything possible to be there for you. When there's a school play, I think there's nothing wrong with both of you being there. But to actually organize like lunch dates or dinner dates or park runs with the kids so that the kids sees us together, I think that can really be complex in some instances.
Hi, Clement. I'll remain anonymous. I think the court made a good decision in terms of terminating the relationship between the kids and the father. No one can be unavailable for that long. But also, the reason why I'm staying anonymous, I know a story from someone where a mother gave birth without the father's knowledge. The father didn't even know that she was giving birth to his child. She told him previously she was terminating the pregnancy. She gave the child up for adoption, but months later, her conscience didn't allow her to go ahead with it. So she told him he has a child and they must go fetch the baby, which they managed to do. I think there were forms that were not finalized in terms of adoption, but I think after the event, the father should file for the mother to be cut off from the children. It's so wrong. Thank you.
Hi, Clement and team. About the deadbeat fathers, I think the courts are dangerously close to playing God, and that's never a good thing. I don't think the courts should have a right to terminate a relationship. Yes, they could terminate his rights to the children, absolutely. But terminating a relationship, I think only God has the right to do that. So, yeah, I'm not so sure about this one.